What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match review stream for you guys. Obviously, we do match review, player ratings, and 5 takeaways. And look, I'm looking forward to this one. I was there yesterday at the Vitality. Amazing atmosphere from the stands once again. The fans in full voice. An amazing vibe is generating at Tottenham at the moment. And, you know, I keep speaking about this connection that the fans are building, or the players are building with the fans. And that was even more evident yesterday. And it's just a great time to be a Spurs fan at the moment, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Only 3 games in, and everyone is just on top of the world at the moment. Everyone's absolutely fallen in love with Ange. The football's brilliant. The results are great at the moment. There's just nothing to complain about. Everything's going well. Even though like transfers and all this stuff, you can say, oh, we need this one in, we need that one out, blah, blah, blah. What's happening on the pitch is absolutely fantastic. It's so exciting. Everyone is doing their part. And it's not even just like individuals are doing well, but also just doing well as a team, just the way we're performing at the moment. And look, at the moment, maybe it is a honeymoon period, it probably is, but you just got to enjoy it because it's been so long since we can sit down and watch Spurs and just enjoy watching the game and just enjoy the football. And look, I just can't wait for more Ange ball at the moment.
I just haven't looked forward to and enjoyed going to football so much probably since the Champions League run. That's the last time I enjoyed it this much, and it's just such a welcome kind of opportunity every time Spurs play. It really is. And now I'm just buzzing for Tuesday. I'm even buzzing to go up to Burnley next weekend. And I've kind of trying to swerve the Burnley game for the past 3-4 years. And I'm actually buzzing to go up there. So look, let's get into the match review. But actually, before we do, let's give a big happy birthday to the main man himself, big Ange Postecoglou. He turns 58 today. So happy birthday. Everyone give him a happy birthday message in the comment section. But let's get into the match review, because I thought first half Spurs were dynamite yesterday. James Maddison was absolutely in the thick of the action. He was controlling everything that Spurs were doing going forward. He was just floating in between those lines, and he was pretty much just involved in everything good happening for Spurs. In the opening 15 minutes, he goes through on goal, and he really should have finished that chance, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think Heung-min Son played him in, didn't he? And you expect Maddison in those situations to find the corner. I think he maybe didn't catch the shot as right. But look, I think the midfield 3 just started as they finished off the Man United game, just dominant, confident. They were dribbling past players, they were opening up Bournemouth time and time again. Bournemouth barely had anything in that first half, to be honest. They had that one shot literally right at the end from Billing, but other than that, it was total domination. Again, Tottenham just well in control of the game. And it was great to see, again, just in possession. Our passing game has just taken up so many levels from last season. And yeah, Maddison's completely at the forefront of it all. What I loved about James Maddison, especially in the first half, was that he wasn't shy about coming into his own half, picking up the ball, and being like a deep line playmaker at times, and also driving into space from his own half, opening up space, committing players. And I think it also was really helpful when it came to beating Bournemouth's press, because Bournemouth pretty much started the game as I assumed they would. And actually, if I looked at their average positions in this game compared to Liverpool, and it was pretty much exactly the same. The 2 wingers were very central and were trying to just hound us because they knew we were going to have the inverted fullbacks. But I think Maddison coming deep definitely helped that. And I actually think, again, the fullbacks were a bit wider again this time than they're inverted, although they did have their opportunities to come inverted. But it helped Tottenham have a lot less trouble than Liverpool did when dealing with Bournemouth's press. And we didn't get caught out on too many occasions, if any, in that first half. And especially Bournemouth being at home, they need some points at the moment because they haven't won a game. So they're going to be desperate to hound us into mistakes and try and force turnovers and situations. And I just think that was especially away from home, it's really important that you calm those situations down. You make sure that you ride those kind of waves, and you're just making sure that there are no high turnovers. You're not giving them any more encouragement than they need. And we did that perfectly in the first half, and we reaped the benefits.
And that was a big testament to every single player on that pitch in that first half, because I thought Maddison, as however good he was on the ball, he was unbelievable off the ball as well. He was being tenacious. He was putting himself about, putting challenges in, and then going forward. Obviously, we all saw what he was doing going forward. That goal was absolutely unbelievable. Team goal. Bissouma was absolutely incredible in there. He plays it to Pape Matar, and Pape Sarr with an absolute pinpoint ball through the lines. Maddison, makes that run off the ball, around the back, and he makes no mistake the second time with the goal.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about that pass from Sarr is that Maddison just doesn't even have to break stride, just makes the run. It's perfectly in his path. He just has to hit it first time, and bam, it's a goal. It was a lovely, cute finish. Maybe he would say he didn't catch it as well as he could have, but it found the corner, and it was a brilliant team move because Basuma before then did what he does, dribbles past Christie, plays it into Sarr. Sarr just has one look up, quick pass into Maddison, who vacated the space that Richarlison had, and bam, it's 1-0, and it was a lovely team goal, a really well worked move, and it's just something that we're just not so accustomed to over the last few years, just like well worked moves from that in possession against like a set defense. It's just used to like Spurs only creating chances when we're in transition, so it's so nice to see us like break down a team and then use those clearly runs that have been worked on in the training pitch. Like Maddison said after the game, I've been working on that run time and time again on the training pitch, and it's so nice to see it pay off.
And this is what I've been saying as well over the last couple of games about Maddison after the game. Like I've been really impressed with the way he's playing, the leadership role he's taking up on the pitch as well. But I wanted to see him get into more goal scoring opportunities, and he definitely corrected that in the first half yesterday. He probably should have scored 2 goals on the day. At halftime, we should have been more clear than 1-0 up for sure. And I thought it was a really good dominant display. And you're really seeing these players, like you say, coming into their own, breaking down teams. The passing moves, especially from the middle of the park, are completely on point. It's hard for teams to really get the ball, break us down, and stop our attacking flow, because you're looking at the back line as well. I thought Romero, Van de Ven, Udogie and Porro all played unbelievable games yesterday. Pedro Porro really growing into his own now, into this right back role. I don't think he got even dribbled past once yesterday, to be honest. Destiny Udogie, I thought he was absolutely insane on that left-hand side in the first half. Nobody could get past him. He was creating attacks and influencing things going forward the other end as well. Romero was at his aggressive best yesterday. I mean, there was one point with Romero, it cracked me up in the middle of the park where it looked like a Bournemouth player was going to get it. He just zoomed into the ball and just smacked the ball against the Bournemouth player.
Yes, yeah,
that was
brilliant.
so
Classic
funny, man.
Romero,
I was just
giving any shit.
cracking up with that yesterday. But I thought like we could have run into trouble yesterday because we didn't take those chances in the first half, because Bournemouth did put it on us in those first 20 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, and if you actually look in the statistics of that first half, though, what I think what you say about defensive solidity is right, because Bournemouth actually had 48% of possession. So Tottenham, although slightly dominant, they weren't maybe as dominant as you would expect, like they were maybe against Brentford in the second half against Man United, where they really dominated possession and didn't allow Bournemouth the opposition the ball a lot. Bournemouth actually saw quite a bit of that ball in that first half, but they just weren't able to break us down, and that's really encouraging, because a lot of the kind of narrative has been, yes, we're going to be good going forward, but going the other way, are we going to be too open? Are we going to be very easy to create chances against? And that was the big fear. But Bournemouth actually did have a lot of possession and just very little opportunities. They had that one chance right on the stroke of half time from Philip Billing, which, to be fair, if that goes in, it would have been a good finish, but he was completely free, so got to be question marks about it. But other than that, I just don't remember too many clear-cut opportunities. I think all the defenders were doing their job. Everyone was doing a job with the team. And actually what I really liked as well is not only were we good when we had possession, but in transition as well, when we were counter-attacking, we looked dangerous. And if you can have those a dual threat like that, you can be good on the counter and good in possession. It's going to be very, very difficult to stop. And Rishi probably should have had a goal in that first half. He had a header from a free kick, which if he turns on target, it's an open goal. It should be a goal. And then he had his one big chance where he was played for on goal from Maddison in the transition, was on a counter-attack. And look, in a weird way, he made it almost too harder for himself, but he did some like amazing nutmeg in the box. But then all of a sudden it just made it too difficult. He tried to take it around the keeper, and the defender ends up coming back and clearing the ball. He'll probably be a bit disappointed with that. But I actually, in the first half, wasn't too disappointed with Rishi. At least he was like getting in and amongst the chances. And
I thought his link-up play was all right in the first half.
Yeah, it was okay. Although there's a clip circulating where he kind of doesn't pass the ball quick enough, and his hold-up play wasn't good, and you hear Anne shouting, was that
not in the second half, though?
That was first half.
Was it first half?
It was first half. He's like, pass the ball, Rishi. He's like going a bit crazy. But I actually thought in the first half, Rishi was all right. But this is what I mean about Rishi. That one moment pretty much encapsulated Richarlison. Like, he does like the difficult things sometimes really well. Like, he can do like these crazy things somehow, and he pulls them off. But then the simple things he sometimes really struggles with, and that's what is really frustrating. But anyway, we'll go on to Rishi later, but first half I thought we've well worth the lead, and in terms of the big chances created, we should have been at least a couple up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second half comes and you really think we're going to take Bournemouth to the sword, but Bournemouth start the second half really strong, and we were on the back foot a little bit. But I feel like our defence kept us out of trouble for the majority of that period of the game. And we were under pressure and we were losing control of the game. But I think Van der Ven in that period of the game was so important to us. Every time a ball came over the top, he was there to head it away. Unbelievable sliding tackles as well from him. And like, when you're talking about a defender, 22 years of age, to come into a Premier League team and just be like literally one of the best players on the pitch, it's just unbelievable to see. And I was just so impressed with the way Mickey van der Ven kind of navigated that period of the game for us. Yeah,
because there were a few definitely hairy moments which, if he got wrong, could have easily led to Bournemouth chances. Had a one through ball, which he does a beautiful sliding challenge to block, to intercept it. But what I love about Van der Ven is not only does he intercept that through ball, but he retains possession and allows us, and he gives it off to a teammate and allows us to get back on the ball and back on possession. It's something that I've criticised Sanchez for a lot of the time. He makes a challenge, but he doesn't do what Romero van der Ven does, where once he makes that challenge, he wins the ball back. What he'll do is usually he'll put it out of play or fall back to an opposition player. But Van der Ven is very clearly very good at that. He did it a few times in that second half. And I agree with you. I think Bournemouth started that first half with new energy, and it looked like although, that second half you expect Tottenham to kind of want to put the game to bed, we came out a bit leggy. We were letting the game slip away from us. But what I would say is our defense was still really solid. We didn't allow any really easy chances. The closest they got was probably a Semenyo shot from the edge of the box, which hit the stanchion. It was quite close, to be fair, but that's not a good big opportunity. There was a chance Solanke had, which it rolled across the face of goal. That could have been dangerous if anyone was running in, but luckily for us, that didn't happen. But even in the second half, with Bournemouth maybe having a bit more joy, like getting in our penalty area. If you look at like the XG, first half Bournemouth created 0.47 XG. Second half they only created 0.2. So they created less good quality opportunities, according to the stats, in that second half, despite the increased. I actually say it would only really be the first 10 minutes. I think after that,
I would say maybe again. Like 15, maybe a bit more.
I think pretty much before that, our subs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That was it.
They came on in the 60th minute.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, those subs were absolutely spot on from Ange Postecoglou at the right time as well. When the tide was turning in the game, Ange saw the problem and he decided to put on, as he says in the post-match interview, his most experienced players in Højbjerg and Perisic. And I thought both of them did such a great job for the team. Perisic was at his creative best on that left-hand side. Højbjerg just kept things simple, and he looked sharp, Højbjerg, when he came on as well. I really liked the performances of both of them. Bissouma, though, I thought Bissouma in that period of the game when we were coming under pressure, I felt like he was being really wasteful on the ball, and it was actually quite frustrating, those for opening 20 minutes of that half from Bissouma.
Yeah, he looked a bit. Him and Sarr both looked a bit leggy in the opening exchanges of the second half. So it's no surprise they were taken off. I'm not sure why that was, because they have had a week break before the last game. But sometimes that can happen in games. That's why you need a big squad to manage these kind of games. I think Ange Postecoglou, what I love about it is he didn't let things fester for too long. He saw things, the game was we're losing our grip on it, and once he noticed that, he changed it up. We calmed things down, and what I liked about it as well was the energy levels increased pretty much straight away.
Yeah,
and within pretty much immediately you saw
3
a change.
minutes. Yeah,
we even before the goal we scored within 3 minutes, but even before that we were looking a lot more brighter. We had an opening which we didn't take full advantage of, and then straight away, and then the goal came with another lovely team move. Perisic to Udogie to Son, nice 1-2, and a really nice finish from Kulusevski, and that pretty much killed the game. But I think Postecoglou, that shows really good game management and real good ability to read what's going on the pitch and change things when necessary.
Everyone in the stands yesterday, including myself, was so happy with those substitutions because we've seen in previous years, especially last season under Antonio Conte, you know, he would let it fester and let he wanted the players to suffer and find their own way back into the game. But Ange Postecoglou is much more there to help his players and see when things are going wrong. They need extra energy. They need more experience on that pitch. And that's what he gave them. And we reaped the awards for it. But that goal, both of those goals yesterday, such good team goals. And for the first time this season, we're seeing that because last week against Manchester United, you know, we played really well, but the goals weren't great team goals. They were kind of fortuitous, both goals. And it was great to see moves that we've created ourselves coming to fruition with goals at the back of the net. And the second goal, I mean, that movement from Destiny Udogie was absolutely top class. The 1-2 with Heung-min Son and Kulusevski, the way he gets in front of his man and finishes pinpoint in the bottom corner. I really loved to see that goal.
Yeah, and he was literally he had to fight to keep that ball in Udogie. What I loved about it, he didn't just keep it in and that's all he achieved. He kept it in and was able to pull off a really good pullback for Kulusevski. And I love Kulusevski that he wasn't just on his heels or waiting at the back post for the ball. He was on the move, running across his centre back, or running on the blind side of the centre back, and a really cute finish into the far corner as well. And I thought he had a better performance overall as well. Kulusevski as well. I was pretty happy with him in that game. And Heung-min Son being in that central role, I thought again he looked bright once he moved centrally. And I think even just that one moment, it just showed the difference between Richarlison and Son in just their quality doing the simple things. A little flick round the corner from Son, not too hard, not too soft, just perfectly in the path of Udogie, allowing him to keep it in and setting up the goal. It's just something that Richarlison is missing, that little cuteness from his play that allows other players to really get involved in the attack. And I think Son, in a way, like just showed up Richarlison a bit in just that one moment. Literally, it was literally a minute after Richarlison had gone off, and I think that really shows the difference in just that little bit of quality. And I guess we have to talk about Richarlison a bit because I actually wasn't too unhappy with his first half performance, although he didn't score. He was getting involved. But that second half, like, he was just so in his head about his performance level and those lack of goals, and it was clearly getting to him. I think you could probably make a fail compilation of him just that second half. He was tripping over the ball. He had that counter attack where he had 4 options, and he somehow managed to pick the wrong option and have the pass blocked. And I think you could see Postecoglou getting a bit frustrated with him, and he obviously hauled him off on the hour mark, and it's no surprise, you know, he was taken off at that point. And I feel for him because he's clearly lacking confidence. You can see what I didn't like about him, though, was that in those moments I'm talking about, he didn't have this kind of attitude of, I'm going to make up for those mistakes. I'm going to get back up and run back and make up for that and, you know, get a tackle in or create a tactical foul. He was just shrugging his shoulders. He was down in the dumps. When that moment where he slipped on the ball, he ended up kicking out a player and he got booked. And if that was a higher challenge, you know, maybe that could have been a red if that was any different. The moment where he had that counter attack, we had 4 options. When he gives the ball away, he doesn't run back and think, I'm going to make up for that mistake. He shrugs his shoulders. He feels sorry for himself. And if he's going to have that attitude, it's going to be problems. Look, I'm not saying, you know, after 3 games, let's bin him and that's it and you know, it's over. I'm just saying, though, there were signs in that second half that definitely made me worried about where his head is at. Yeah,
I completely agree, to be honest. And I kind of agree with you as well, where I wouldn't say I was delighted with his first half display, but I think it was good link-up play. He was putting himself about. He got in good positions as well. Obviously, he missed the big chance in the first half, but I didn't mind his first half performance too much. It was the second half which really annoyed me, and everything that was coming his way, he was getting wrong, to be honest. Slipping on the ball, bad passes, bad touches, and you could see that chance in the first half was really grating on his mind, and it was clear for everyone to see in that first half. But after previous experiences that we've been through with players that are not performing, like Moussa Sissoko, Davinson Sanchez, Emerson Royale, Kieran Trippier, there are so many examples where you can see players can turn it around, especially the 3 where you talked about with Kieran Trippier, who we pretty much chased out the door, and last season he was the best right back in the Premier League. You've got Moussa Sissoko, who was being booed on the pitch at one point, and he turned it around and was influential to us in that Champions League run. You've got Emerson Royale, who is also getting booed on the pitch at times, and he's turned it around to a player that the fans can really get behind. I didn't like what I heard from the Spurs fans in the stands yesterday, and I was kind of disagreeing with a few people in the stands, because there were a few I can get like the moans and groans because of what was happening on the pitch and what we saw on the pitch, but I didn't like that everyone was just screaming, "Oh, just get him off, he's shit, he's this, he's that." A few fans were booing as well, and I was just like, you can clearly see the guy is
booing. A few fans are booing.
Not a lot, but like a few around me. Like you probably not enough to hear them on TV, but like just a few people around me. And I was like thinking to myself, like, this guy is clearly lacking in confidence. And if he hears this kind of stuff coming from the fans, from his own section of supporters, that's only going to like decrease the confidence even more. We need to support people through these moments and really kind of try and get them to be the best versions of themselves, to be honest. And yes, it was nowhere near good enough, and it was disgusting what we saw in that second half from him. But I prefer to maybe support players through it than kind of berate them and make them fall even deeper into low confidence and low self-esteem, because you can see clearly that's what Richarlison is going through at the moment.
100%. I absolutely agree with that, and I think, and I also believe that if we stick with him, not necessarily that he can't be dropped, however bad he plays, but I do believe that if we stick with him, he will turn it around. I'm starting to see him starting to get more chances and being in better positions, and even some of his link-up play in that first half was improving compared to previous weeks. So there are, and I actually think him being in the team does kind of the team structure and the system. It works with him because he does stretch the play. He does allow more space for the likes of Maddison to operate in. So I'm not even unhappy with, necessarily his role in the team. I'm just, obviously we need a bit more better quality. He needs to start contributing when it comes to goals and assists. We all know that, but he's clearly going through a very difficult time. He's clearly very low on confidence, and he does need the support of the fans. He needs to know we all believe in him and we all believe he can turn it around, and he needs to feel that love. And he's a very emotional guy, Richarlison. He's been like that for ever since he's come to the Premier League. It's very clear that Everton fans, I remember when we were speaking about him when we signed him, saying, he fries off the crowd a lot, and he does take a lot of things to heart. He is very emotional. Even a little snippet like, for example, into Antonio shows that he does internalize a lot of things, and he does take things to heart a lot. And so I do believe that if we can continue to support him, and if we keep giving him chances, I'm sure he will become a goal scoring forward. I'm not saying he's going to become like a 25 season goal striker or anything like that, but he can be an option for us. He can easily be a striker, getting regularly into double figures for us and being a good player for us. He just needs to get through this period where his head is clearly not right, and he's clearly feeling sorry for himself, but he needs to get out of that funk. He needs to stop feeling sorry for himself and believe in himself, and believe that he can be a striker, starting for Tottenham. He starts for Brazil, so he has that confidence there. He just has to translate that into Spurs in the Premier League. I think Ange is probably the best manager for that, and I'm sure that he'll put the arm around the shoulder and just keep believing in him. But I guess there does become a question of, how many more, do we drop him for next game? Is it a case of does Son come in? Because Son is looking better in central, I get that.
I get Son is looking better in central, but I think if you drop Richarlison after you saw that mentality yesterday, I think it's just going to fester with him, and it's going to get worse. But for me, obviously we can't put up with these performances for much longer. But for me, I think you give him the next two league games, Burnley and Sheffield United, two of the easier games, let's say, in the Premier League. No disrespect to Sheffield United or Burnley, but those are the two games before the North London derby. If he can't show improvements in those two games, then for me, against Arsenal in the North London derby, that's when Sonny has to go central.
Okay. I think I'd play him in the Cup. I think I'll just give him another opportunity to try and get that goal monkey off his back, basically, and just keep playing him in the Cup. And then if he can show improvement, I can earn his spot back for me. Right now, as harsh as it is to say, I just think you have to do what's best for the team right now. And I think right now, whenever Sonny's going central, we're looking better, and he's looking sharper. He's looking like he understands the role of that link-up play. Like, we've already seen 2 goals come from Sonny linking up the play in central in the limited time he's had against Man United. He was involved in that second goal, and yesterday he set up Udogie. So we're already seeing improvements, and we're seeing Sonny do those things. So if Richarlison, I think we should give Richarlison the run out against Fulham, because he's our starting striker, and I think he can have that spot. But if he's not performing in that game, I think he comes out the team again in the next game. I really do.
Yeah, I would just like to give him a bit more time, to be honest. And I really think like the game against Sheffield United could be a big one for him, because Sheffield United are probably, from what I've seen so far, one of the poorest teams in the league.
Is that after the international break?
Yeah, so we got Fulham, Burnley, international break, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
So maybe he can get a bit of confidence going away with Brazil, getting a goal or two there. But I would really like to see Richarlison start that game, because, you know, Sheffield United at home, one of our easiest games of the season. You'd expect that Richarlison can do something in that game.
The annoying thing is, like, the Arsenal game, that's the kind of game I want Richarlison in for, you know what I mean? Because you've got the feeling like he'll be up for that, and he'd like have a point to prove, and he'd like put that extra bit, and like in a derby, like he would feel that game
Probably
as well.
Get sent off.
Yeah, maybe that's also something to worry about. But it's kind of a game where you want like a fiery Richarlison in that game, like really putting it amongst it with the Arsenal defenders and really asking difficult questions. But I need to see more of him in the next following games for that.
All in all, realistically, yeah, in that second half,
it's a long season.
In that second half, when Richarlison was on the pitch, it was like we were playing with 10 men at times.
Yeah,
it really was, because he didn't do anything right, and he got taken off after 58, 59 minutes or something like that. So, look, it was a poor display from Richarlison, but in my opinion, I think the supporters should be supporters and supporting a player through it, as opposed to berating him. Yeah, in my opinion,
I completely disagree. Any abuse and stuff. Have we not been? As you said, we've been through this so many times that abuse is never going to help a player, and we've seen players turn it around. When a player puts on that shirt and is giving their all, you shouldn't be trying to tear them down. Even if you don't think they're a good player, you should be trying to give them support, especially when you're at the ground. It's one thing when you're giving your opinion online and stuff, but like you should never be going to games and trying to abuse players. That's never going to help any situation. It just creates a toxic atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So I think all in all, it was a really good day for Tottenham yesterday. Not only for Tottenham, but Arsenal dropping points as well, which was all great to see. So it was kind of like the perfect day yesterday, to be honest. I think the only down point of the day was Richarlison, because I think everyone performed to a really good level apart from him, really.
Yeah, and also what I loved as well is that once we went 2-0, literally
cruise
control, total domination. Wasn't even an inkling of Bournemouth getting back in the game. If anything, it was Tottenham looking like they were going to get a third goal. It was like a performance of like a team who, like a seasoned team who just like know how to win, which was strange. Like, it was very, very comfortable in that second half going into after we got the second goal and going on to win the game, and that was an absolute delight to watch. And I would never have assumed that Ange would have been getting such comfortable wins so early in his tenure like that, especially away from home against a difficult team like Bournemouth.
And as well, it's like this team is completely unrecognisable from last season. You've out of the starting lineups in the two last games, two identical lineups, right? Only 3 players in those lineups were consistent players under Spurs last season. You got Christian Romero, Dejan Kulusevski, and Heung-min Son. Everyone else either is brand new or played a bit part role last season. It's absolutely mad to think about, like, all these players. When have you ever seen a team before come into the Premier League and all these players kind of hit the ground running at the same time? I don't remember ever seeing that.
It's incredible. And you even look at Bournemouth last season when we won 3-2. I think only 2 players who started that game started this game. And that just shows how quickly this rebuild is happening, and how we've been able to move a lot of players out of the team, and this is literally like a new Spurs. It's literally a brand new team, basically.
In every facet. Within every facet. And you got to give credit to Paratici with the signings that he has made. I mean, Pape Matar, when we signed him at the time, we were excited, but we had no clue what he can bring and when he's going to break into the team and if he's ever going to break into the team. And now we're reaping the benefits for that. And, look at the players like Yves Bissouma. Last season we saw nothing of a similar sort to what we're seeing this season. This year he's been one of the best players in the Premier League. Cuti Romero, we all knew what he can bring, but I think now we're starting to see what he can really bring to the team.
Yeah, I've always said about Cuti, you put a more competent give him a more competent partner, so he's not always making up for someone else's mistakes and covering someone else's space, and you're going to see a much better Cuti. And we're seeing that even in the first 3 games. He's so much more comfortable. He's not diving into rash tackles and making rash decisions. He's doing things in a much more controlled way, but still with that aggression that he has. And that's exactly what Cuti Romero is all about.
And Destiny, man. Destiny has just I'm just in awe of this guy. I was watching him yesterday. I was watching him so closely, and he was one of the best players on the pitch yesterday. For me, him, Mickey van der Ven, Romero, and Maddison were just a level above anyone on that pitch yesterday. And like, this guy is 20 years of age. We signed him last year, loaned him back, and we were all saying like, yeah, he's going to be a brilliant player for us, but he's going to take time to bed into the Premier League.
Wing back as well.
He's a wing back. He's never played full back. He's never played the inverted full back as well. And he's just come into the Premier League, and he's been one of the best left backs in the league. Never mind a best player for Tottenham. He's been one of, if not the best left back in the league this season.
And he looks like he's brilliant going back and forward as well. And he looks so strong physically, but he marries that with real good technical ability and decision making as well. What I love about him is that the goal that we scored, the second goal, it wasn't even just about him getting to the byline, cutting it back. He started the move. Perisic finds him running down the left.
Yeah.
He doesn't panic when he's on the ball and just try and whip it in without even looking. He takes his time, runs back, does a little link up with Heung-min Son. He waits for the right time to pass the ball, and all of a sudden we're in the box. And then he uses his physicality and his speed to get into the byline, and then he still has the ability to get a cut back out when it looks like the ball's going to get out of play and get the assist as well. I mean, it was a marvellous piece of play from Udogie, and I think he's so capable of that. And look, it was a bit of a worry at the end of the game. It looked like he had a serious injury, but thankfully Ange said that he actually wanted to play on, and he's absolutely fine. So that's really good news on that front. But he has started the Premier League so well. He seems tailor-made for this inverted fullback system, where you would have thought at wing back, where he has a lot of license to get forward in a three at the back system, that would have been a system that he's really suited to. But thankfully, Ange has clearly done a lot of work with him over pre-season, and he looks absolutely phenomenal.
The average age of the team yesterday, 25 years of age.
Third youngest in the league.
And like, how the hell have we cut that down so dramatically, so quickly?
It was last season, I read, we averaged the third oldest.
Yeah.
And this season, we're averaging the third youngest. So.
It's mad. The turnaround has been absolutely crazy. So credit to Ange Postecoglou, credit to the players coming in as well. This team is just completely unrecognisable, and I am loving every second of it. So that is your match review. Spurs beat Bournemouth at the Vitality by 2-0.